if you're not black, you're a guest in hip hop. That plain and simple. I had a dude, right, make a comment in a video that I did. I forgot what it was about as far as dealing with hip hop, but he's gonna have the nerve. And he immediately deleted the comment because he knew he was wrong. He knew he was wrong. But I'm making a point here. He said that black people stole wearing do-rags from Mexicans. So let me get this right. Why exactly are Mexican wearing do-rags? I'm just trying to understand that. I'm not saying that they can't wear them. I'm just asking you why, because I know for us dealing with black people, we wear do-rags in order to keep our hair down so our hair can be wavy. Our hair is naturally wavy. Do-rags don't magically give us waves. No, that's not the case. The case is that it keeps our hair down, patted down, so our waves can look smooth and there's no hair sticking up, looking prickly and stuff, right? But even before that, you had in the 40s and the 50s where they used to conk their hair and they would wear do-rags. Even before that, the women, when they was in slavery, they would wear do-rags, like kind of like a cloth over their head to protect their hair. And even before that, you had Africans in Africa wearing do-rags. So I'm just trying to understand, like, where exactly did we steal that from Mexicans? And why exactly are Mexicans actually wearing do-rags anyway? Like, in all actuality, like I'm saying, this is relevant. In all actuality, why are people outside of black hair wearing do-rags? And I can tell you, it's all trendy. It's all fashion. With the exception of black people that have black hair that can wave up. I used to have waves. I used to put on do-rags. I put on a do-rag for a reason. I didn't just put it on just for it to be fashionable. And that's the point that I'm making. You know, as far as dealing with black people and how we created this. We created hip hop. Now, you know, people will say the Puerto Ricans were there. Yeah, they participated, but they didn't create it. They didn't create rap. And some people may say, well, you know, hip hop or rap was started, you know, and one of the founders were Kool Herc. Yeah, you could say that, but beforehand, you had James Brown. James Brown is actually the grandfather of hip hop. You had Gil Scott-Heron. You had so many people rhyming way before Kool Herc, way before this culture was given the title hip hop. And it's that plain and simple. So the pioneers, the gods of hip hop are black people. The founders, the innovators, the inventors of hip hop, black people, period. I'm not giving anybody else any credit. I'll say the Puerto Ricans participated and maybe they, you know, created breakdancing. I'll give them that. Help create breakdancing. I'll give them that, but I'm not going to give them, you know, any props or anyone aside from black people for creating hip hop. I'm just not. I'm sick and tired of people outside of our race taking our shit, and then when they take it, they act as though as if it's theirs. Like, I'll give you an example. And this is all relevant. White people will put in their history books and their movies and on in their art museums, you know, pictures, movies, and in books of white people being Egyptians. Now I'm trying to understand this, right? You don't like black people, right? But you decide that you want to put pyramids right dead somewhat in the center of Africa, right? Now, where you came from, you didn't build no pyramids. There's no known history of the Romans and the Greeks building any type of pyramids, anything remotely close to a pyramid. But all of a sudden, you have this epiphany that, you know what, I want to go into into a land that's full of black people and build pyramids in a civilization. And then later on, like 2021, we're still trying to figure out, even though we built the pyramids, we're still trying to figure out how we built them. That doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. And this is another direct attack of attack of white people culturally appropriating a civilization called Egypt and having it their own. Which makes no sense to me, because you can play it, it's plain as day, you can see in the many busts, writings on, or excuse me, drawings on the walls, that these people were heavily melanated. Period. But I'm so sick and tired of it, till it don't make no sense. You know what pissed me off one day? I was looking on the news, right? I think it was the inauguration or something like that, right? And the two old dusty white men, I know they looked like they were racist. Two old dusty white men in their 80s did this. I said, you got to be kidding me. You know what's so funny, man? The most racist motherfucker on the planet, right? Can't stand black people, but he watches football. He watches basketball. He wears Michael Jordan's shoes. And he does the fist pump, which we call it dap. It used to be this, like that, and then we did it like that. You know how old that greeting is? And y'all just now getting on it? That greeting is like, I was in high school when we started doing that. I'm talking like 20 years ago. More than that. And y'all just now, y'all late to the party, as usual. And blacks, we stupid. We don't never stand up and say, hey, you know I created that. You know we did this and you know we did that. Let me tell you something. If black people didn't exist on the planet, y'all would be living in caves. It's just that plain and simple. When you play a PlayStation, give credit to a black man that created the first video game console. When you push your buttons for that remote control, give credit to a black man that created remote control, that created an elevator, that created a refrigerator, that created a stoplight. The list goes on of the things that we created, or rather invented. But we don't get the credit for that. All we get is, oh no, black people ain't nothing but lazy and this and that. Yeah, okay. Next time you stop at a stoplight, taking heed that was created by a black man. Period. And it pisses me off that the average person does not do their history, because they don't care about black people like that. The only thing they care about is how they can use black people, how they can take advantage of black people. And that's the case with hip hop. So let me get this right. If hip hop was a house, right, you would be my guest. You come in and you decide, I say, you know what, you can sit on the couch, it's nice and comfy, is it? You're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You take the couch and put it in your house, as if it's your house. As if it's your couch. But then when I bitch and complain about it, you wanna be like, well, you know, this is everybody's couch. Nobody invented a couch. This is everybody's couch. That is your argument when referring to music in particular, because we created all genres of music, whether it's rock and roll, blues, jazz, country music, gospel, and the list goes on. Get out of here with that BS. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that. You know, people sit back and say, well, you can't say, you know, this and that about music because nobody owns music and this and that. No. You sound stupid, because record labels do own music. They do. They do own the masters of these artists, and they make a lot of money off of that. Some artists don't even own their own name, let alone their publishing. So miss me with that BS. Miss me with that. I'm gonna say it and I mean it. If you're not black, then you are a guest in hip hop. I'm so tired of people culturally appropriating our culture. There's no such thing as Mexican rap. There's no such thing as that. There are Mexicans that are rappers, but there's no such thing as Mexican rap. There's no such thing as reggaeton. There's a thing called reggae. Now, if you Cubans, Puerto Ricans, and Latinos want to participate in reggae, that's something different. Other than that, you are culturally appropriating reggae when you make reggaeton. Everything we do, you all want to follow. And then when you follow, you don't want to give credit where credit is due. That plain and simple. We call each other Niggas, and y'all take that, a derogatory name that we shouldn't really be calling ourselves, but y'all take that and call each other that name. Y'all want to be so black till it's ridiculous, and I don't care. I'm going to say it. Some people won't, but I'm going to say it. I see white girls in the gym every day. Every day. You see, I'm older. So I remember when white girls were like, oh, you know, her butt, it's nasty and it's all fat and blah, 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 blah. White girls didn't want fat butts back in the days. They wanted them flat butts. They wanted the extended back. That's what they thought was beautiful. That's what they thought was beautiful. And then when Kim Kardashian came around, that's when they were like, oh yeah, I want a Brazilian ass. Like as if Brazil is not predominantly heavily melanated, because you don't want to say black. And there's no such thing as a Brazilian ass. There is a such thing as an African ass though, because Brazilians come from Africa. But you don't want to say that. You don't want to give credit where credit is due. And Kim Kardashian got that ass from someone. But let me tell you something, my black women, they got that ass naturally from eating cornbread, potato salad, macaroni and cheese, and all the rest of that soul food. I'm just so tired of people just taking our culture and just doing whatever they want to do with it. You understand? Like the music is trash right now. It's garbage. And you know what people will say? Well, you know, hip hop has to change. It has to evolve. Well, what about country music? What about white music? Does it ever evolve? Does country music ever not sound the same? Excuse me, does country, yeah, exactly. Does country music ever not sound the same? Meaning that they got the same type of cadence. So we went from rapping to somewhat singing. That's not hip hop. That's not. Now, you want to call it another genre of music? We can. But you're not going to put that, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to totally disagree. You're not going to put all of that singing shit that people be doing, these rappers be doing, inside hip hop, because that's not hip hop. It's more like R&B. Period. You want to call it neo R&B / slow music. I don't know what to call it, but that's not hip hop. And now we got all these genres of music, you know, hip hop, like rock and roll, some vibe hip hop. And hip hop is hip hop. If you're not rapping, it's not a hip hop song. Period. It ain't about evolving, because hip hop doesn't have to evolve. What happens is you maintain your basic structure of hip hop. That's the point that I'm making. There's an infrastructure of hip hop and you maintain that, and we have got out of that. Hip hop was never meant to be used as a tool against us. And that's what has happened. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. And I'll tell anybody, any race, yo, you ain't nothing but a guest in hip hop. You ain't have no dibs into this. Like on some real shit, if I was in control of it, y'all be taxed. Y'all would have to pay to rap. Y'all would have to go to a seminar or a class or a college, a HBCU college, in order to learn how to rap. In other words, I would monetize hip hop in order that black people can be able to benefit off of it, like we supposed to. But we don't. And I'll say that we weak for that. We create something and then we become slaves to the thing that we created, which makes no sense to me. How am I gonna, I'll give you an example. I'm an author. How am I gonna write a book, and then once I write the book, I make pennies off the book that I wrote while somebody else is making millions off of it? That doesn't even make sense. That really doesn't. Like, it don't add up. That math is like totally incorrect. But as usual, you know, just like rock and roll and all the type of blues and jazz, now you have a white face in front of that. So for the people for black people that are not educated and that don't know their history and that don't have someone that to teach them their history, they'll swear up and down that eventually in the years to come, they'll swear up and down that hip hop was created by white people. Because I swore up and down that, you know, rock and roll was created by white people, and it wasn't. They're doing, let me tell you something. I've been around the block and then some. You know, I'm older than a lot of you all. Let me tell you something. I'm glad that I've experienced this. So now that I could be able I'm glad that I experienced this. So now I could be able to tell you all how they do shit. Let me tell you something. Rock and roll used to be black music. And Little Richard, you know, had to, listen to what I'm saying to you. Little Richard had to be an androgynous man. He had to look like a male/female in order to get in these theaters to perform in front of white people, right? So this is he did it for a specific reason, because they wouldn't accept him as being a masculine man on stage, but they accepted him as being an androgynous man, just like how they accepted Prince, just like they accepted Michael Jackson. Think about the people that become megastars, you know what I'm saying, and people that people know around the world. Just think about that. Like the most popular black man, just think about how he has to look in order to become this megastar. Have you ever seen a dude that looked like me or darker with a regular cut and his nose not cut off, a megastar? No. And if you want to sit back and say Jay-Z, look what Jay-Z had to do. He had to damn near talk about drugs and selling drugs to his people for damn over 10 years in order to get to where he's at. Period. Beyonce had to take off all her fucking clothes and tell all of black America that you don't need no man, even though she got married. So you have to do certain things, making it relevant. So then what happened is white people started doing rock and roll. And they started coming out with these rock and roll bands talking about I worship Satan, and you got Twisted Sisters that look like women, is half man, and they talking about 666, and in other words, they perverted rock and roll. And this is the same damn thing that they're doing today with hip hop. They're perverting it. And sooner than later, you're gonna have hip hop being straight a homosexual type of music. I'm calling it, I'm saying it right now in 2021. I bet you 9 times out of 10, hip hop is going to turn into a genre of homosexual music. And I don't have nothing against whatever you do in life. Just don't try to push that on me. You understand? What you do in the bed is you keep that shit in the bed. I don't want to have no parts of that shit. Period. But it's just a shame where we started at, where we began, and where we're at right now. Because I know what real true hip hop was, and true hip hop was Wu-Tang, Nas, Biggie. I know what you're gonna say, old head. Let me tell you something. You better hope you live to see my years. You understand that? You understand that? And you keep on talking, I'm gonna see your mama. I'm old enough to date your mom. And I'll do that shit intentionally. I'll date your mom and bang, bang, bang. You be hearing her head hit the wall while you in the room crying. Why Langston had to do that? Because you called me an old head. I bet you your mom won't say that. But we had groups like Wu-Tang, Biggie, you know, artists, Wu-Tang, Biggie, you know, Nas, J. Rue the Damager, Brand Nubians, A Tribe Called Quest, Leaders of the New School, Busta Rhymes, Public Enemy, KRS-One, Gangstar, and the list goes on. That's true hip hop. The shit y'all playing, the shit y'all listening to now, that ain't no fucking hip hop. That's garbage. Plain and simple.